ever since James Gunn announced his pretty underwhelming new DCU slate. One project that people have been paying close attention to is his Superman legacy. Superman, after all, is the linchpin character of the DC universe. So if this movie were to fail, the DCU would be over quicker than Black Adam's reign atop the DCEU's hierarchy. Unfortunately, from where I'm sitting, we just got the worst news imaginable for Superman legacy. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button, and please subscribe to this channel for more content just like this.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
At the risk of being called a fake DC fan for the 100th time, simply for not being on board with James Gunn's vision for the DCU,
Boo this man!
I think it's necessary for everyone to take a good, long, hard look at the decision to have James Gunn himself write and direct a Superman movie. Now, I had enough concerns when he was just overseeing the character. My concerns rose when I heard he was writing the movie. And pretty much my worst nightmare imaginable came true when he announced on Twitter this week that he is also directing. Now, I've made it no secret, I do not understand the hype around someone like James Gunn. Everything I've ever seen from him featured a basic and juvenile approach to storytelling. Everything from the chaotic nature of his plot, where things just seem to happen, to his cringe-inducing sense of humor. It's all always rubbed me the wrong way. I've just never been into his style of filmmaking, and it's just not interesting to me. Now, a lot of people are going to call me a hater for that, because that's the automated response anyone ever gives whenever you say something that they don't agree with.
I'm having trouble.
No matter how well articulated and thought out your reasoning may be. Some may respond for me to just give it a chance. And we haven't even seen a trailer yet. How can you judge it? To those people, I would respond and say I've seen enough James Gunn movies to know exactly what I'm getting from him every single time out. It's not like there's a lot of complex differences between one of his projects and the next. Even if we look at the content he's already produced under the DC banner. We have The Suicide Squad, a movie that was supposed to fix all the problems that the previous Suicide Squad movie had. In all actuality, while watching it, I didn't feel like there was a huge difference in quality from when James Gunn takes over.
Not impressed.
To me, neither iteration of those characters really did much to impress me, and both felt like they were missing the mark as it pertains to adapting the source material. Not to mention, James Gunn's version seemed to be more concerned with shock value tactics than it did telling a good story, which is also a common theme in a lot of his movies. James Gunn's inability to take anyone or anything seriously makes it very difficult for someone like me to care about the story he's trying to tell me.
I don't care!
In fact, you could say he is the blueprint for the MCU tactic of using comedy to de-escalate any moment of tension that is worthwhile, all for the sake of obtaining a cheap laugh that in the process hurts the impact of the most pivotal moments in your story. And then we have Peacemaker, another attempt in a long line of attempts to deconstruct the superhero or comic book story. That concept sounded interesting at first, but now it's been done so frequently, like anything else that's overused, it's kind of worn out its welcome.
No, don't like that.
Plus, James Gunn has the habit of deconstructing characters in the worst way possible, oftentimes making them feel like a joke in the process. James Gunn has actually been quoted as saying, for the longest time he thought the concept of superheroes was both dumb and silly. And that mentality in Hollywood is exactly how we ended up with travesties like Batman and Robin.
All right, everyone, chill.
It took the likes of Sam Raimi and Christopher Nolan to restore these characters to their previous prestige, a place where Hollywood and audiences could once again take them seriously. And James Gunn sounds like he's capable of setting the whole genre back a few years, by simply not realizing what people like about these characters to begin with. Now, I agree superheroes on a surface level could be looked at as ridiculous, but again, it is the writer and director's job to make us, the audience, believe in them as viable, layered characters.
That makes sense.
And no, again, I'm not saying that every single superhero movie needs to have a dark and serious tone. I'm saying that each character should have a movie with a tone that suits them. It should be addressed on a case-by-case basis. And if we are looking at James Gunn's body of work, he seemingly applies the same mentality to every single character or story that he writes. And I don't think that mentality lends itself to creating a good Superman movie.
I find the whole mythology surrounding superheroes fascinating.
Let's say for a moment that his plan is to deconstruct the character of Superman. First of all, I would say that we already got that, and a lot of the people that are now singing James Gunn's praises hated that version of the character. What those people really want is a one-dimensional Boy Scout version of the character, because people that don't understand him think that's all that he is. Superman, believe it or not, is more than that. He's not just about saving cats and trees and punching people. He's supposed to be representative of the best parts of humanity. Irony being, he himself is not human.
Oh my god. I get it.
He's supposed to feel conflicted about his place in the world. He's an alien. It's also very realistic that some people might be afraid of him, regardless of what his intentions are. We got all of these things in a deconstruction of the character. And do you want to know how James Gunn describes his version of Superman? He says, quote, "He's a big old galoot who doesn't want to hurt a living soul." Honest question, does that sound interesting to anyone? Just the fact that he described it in that way, do you know what I'm picturing? I'm picturing James Gunn's Superman being a little bit Drax, a little bit MCU Thor, and a little bit of that all-shucks naive aspect to him. But not a charming all-shucks like Christopher Reeve. More like a big doofus who will probably try to avoid confrontation at all costs. Because in James Gunn's mind, that's probably funny to him. It's funny to think that there's a Superman with all these powers who has no interest in doing anything with them.
Whatever it is that you're offering, we're not into it. Don't care, couldn't care less.
I don't have an interest in a meathead Superman, or a slobbish Superman, or a bum-ass Superman. And whatever he means by galoot, I don't have an interest in that either. I don't know why he would use that word of all words to try to sell us on his Superman. I don't believe that James Gunn understands or cares about this character at all. You can say until you're blue in the face that James Gunn understands superheroes. The fact remains is that there is a huge difference between lesser-known quirky characters that he's been dealing with and Superman. His typical bullshit and tactics are not going to work on a character like this. And I believe a lot of Superman fans are going to see right through that, if he's not careful. The character carries too much prestige and is too beloved to have someone like James Gunn come along and treat him like a buffoon and have everyone be okay with it.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I honestly have visions of how Taika Waititi destroyed the character of Thor running through my head. Sit there with a straight face and tell me that James Gunn isn't capable of doing the exact same thing to Superman. Even if you love James Gunn with every ounce of your body, you have to admit he has a certain way of doing things, and he has a certain style as it pertains to how he approaches adapting characters. Knowing all that, I don't know how anyone in their right mind can think he is the best person for this job, especially since he's done absolutely nothing to suggest that he's capable of doing anything other than what he does all the time.
Y'all be cool. Right on.